Hi, friends. In our time together today, I want to talk about playing slower tunes on high D whistles, airs, slow airs, ballads, laments. We often think about these as played on low whistles, low Ds, low Cs, some other whistles. And I have friends who will play fast tunes on their high whistles and lean to playing the slow tunes on only the low whistles. But you should be able to play these slow tunes on your high whistles as well. So I want to do a couple of things today, or a few things actually. I want to pose a question as to what your preferences are. I want to share my thoughts. I want to play just a few whistles over a particular tune as an example of some of the things we're thinking about. Because we should be able to play slower tunes on high whistles as well. So you think about it. So I want your comments. Please, a few of the whistles that you love for playing for playing slow tunes on high whistles, high Ds in particular, and why? What are the criteria that made you love that whistle for this tune? It might be, well, it's the only whistle I own, or it might be, I love how it transitions between the octaves, or I love that it's consistent in volume between the first and the second octave. What is it? What whistles and why? When I think about this conversation, this is something I've been really chewing on for just a long time, trying to find a high D whistle that does some of the things the low D whistles do for me. Like when I'm thinking about what I want out of a whistle playing a slow tune, I want it, and some of this is very like airy. You can't nail down. I want it to touch my heart. I want it to be balanced volume between the lower and the upper octave, but I want to be able to vary my volume in the upper and lower octave. So for me, if so many high D whistles, you can't vary the volume on the lower notes, which means you can't fade out of those notes. It means you can't build in those notes. And I want that in a whistle that I'm going to play a lament on or a ballad. So I want a whistle that's balanced in volume, that has a rich tone, that sings. I want a whistle that's not too chiffy, from my standpoint. I want a whistle that has back pressure, but not so much back pressure that I really have to scream to play the second octave to get it to just so loud. Yet I want enough back pressure in the whistle that I could play long phrases on a single breath. Okay, maybe I'm picky. We're allowed to be picky, right? You are allowed to be picky. You're a musician. You have things you want in an instrument. Now, sometimes for me, this differs whether I'm playing a slow tune that stays in the lower octave and a slow tune that ranges between. I also want a whistle that I can beautifully and cleanly transition from the lower octave to the upper and the upper to the lower. This has just been building in me. This is something I've been searching for and thinking about for a good while, and it's been coming to a head recently as I get to know some of my whistles better. And a great friend in the community, Joey, hey Joey, and I were actually talking about this, and I'm like, I'm gonna ask the community. So, what do you want in a high whistle that enables you to play a slow air, an air, a lament, or a ballad? And what are your favorite whistles, high Ds, for doing that? I could pull up quite a few low Ds for doing that and explain why, this one has that breathy, resonant tone that just aches. This one is cleaner in tone, but it's so warm and round. And I want to have that conversation about a high D whistle as well. So anyway, that sets the stage. I need to say that if you heard my criteria, if a whistle requires me to play it so loud in the second octave, different than the first, then that's out of the criteria for me. If I can't fade out in all the notes, it's out of the criteria for me. If the breath pressure between the first and the second octave can't be controlled, and I have to stop and actually break into that second octave, then that whistle's out of the conversation for me. Again, yeah, I'm picky, but we're allowed to be. So I've chosen just 4 whistles as examples. I have a lot more high Ds that are still in the conversation, and I'm not going to play any that I've eliminated, but I'm going to do like a price range just to say that many whistles could meet this criteria. And I'll put links as to where you could pick up each of these 4 because I think they're each amazing whistles. And yes, they were sort of randomly chosen and sort of not randomly chosen. I sat on the couch and played a tune with many high D whistles until I narrowed it down to say, I think I'm going to use these 4. It's a little random. We'll see. Anyway, the tune is the Song of the Books. And I'll put a link at here at the top and in the notes to this video and maybe at the end of this video to the video where I introduced the Song of the Book. It's a great tune. Anyway, I'm going to jump into the tune. I should add that when I'm sitting down to play, probably a little over 50% of the time, I want to play a thoughtful, slower tune because I love playing emotively. That's some of my focus. Always has been, no matter what instrument I'm playing. And I love fast tunes. I love dancey tunes. But I, most of the time, gravitate to more emotional, thoughtful tunes. Oh well, that's me. So I have, like I said, 4 whistles. And the 4 are, and I'll talk about each as I go a bit, but the Killarney high D, and it's not, in some ways you'd imagine I'd eliminate this one because you really can't fade very well out of those lower notes. You can a little bit though. And I can just a little increase volume on the lower 2 notes. But I thought this was a great example of a whistle you might not necessarily think fits. The Burke Aluminum Session High D, the Jonathan Swayne High D, and the Roy McManus High D. Now you might be saying, Scott, a lot of those are more expensive whistles. Well, yeah, because I'm asking more. I'm asking the whistle manufacturer to make a whistle that enables me to do more. So, and I expect to pay a little more for that. The Killarney first, not necessarily an expensive whistle, and I'm not choosing this over other whistles from a preference standpoint. It's just I thought I need to throw in just a regular high D whistle to say, you could do this with this, but I want it all. But the Killarney's a great example of how you could play an emotive tune on a high D. Song of the Books. I was running out of air. But see, I think that's pretty nice. That was a good long phrase. On a breath, I should talk a minute so I get my breath back. No, kidding. And as I move into the second bit, you can actually get some nice emotive tones. So I like how this one sings. Remember, I had a variety of criteria, but so I think you could pick up like any of your whistles and do this, but if you want it all, you're going to get a little pickier. As I think through, I was drawn to the Burke. I know it's a session whistle, but even as a session whistle, I can back off of the second octave some. But this whistle, though, also enables me to vary my volume top to bottom, and I think that's stellar. And I didn't run out of air, but I started to run out of air. I would have had to do a little bit more diaphragm pushing. Two measures sooner than the Killarney, but that's okay. Because it's a little bit more of a volume of air. But as I get into that next bit, and I love the octave transitions on the Burke. See that ability to vary your volume. It just I love that. And notice, even with a session whistle, the ability to back off of the volume in the second octave, I think is also, it's just a killer. It's great. These are all four great whistles. And yes, I love a lot of other whistles, but we're talking about playing slower tunes and hitting a wide range of desires with them. Now, this is the Jonathan Swayne high D. Jonathan's been making high D whistles for a long time, and they're pretty crazy good. The others are crazy good too, but I love the tone for a slower tune. I love the tone that wood brings to the table. So, some of the Song of the Books on the Swayne high D. Okay, I was running out of air there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went maybe 6 or 7 bars a little further than even with the Killarney, because there's this beautiful balance in this whistle between the back pressure and the volume. It's not requiring you to just scream in that second octave. You can really just get some beautifully smooth transitions. I do like this whistle a lot. The ability to vary volume. So this is probably one of my top slow tune whistles. Sometimes though in the top, well, no, I don't. No, I was going to say sometimes in the top of the second octave. I have had to spend a lot of time. This is a comment on learning your whistle. I really had to spend a lot of time learning this one because when I first got the whistle, I really had to push into the second octave. And that's sometimes why I say don't give up on your whistles. It's really important. You could just lean in, but you could also back off. I love it. It's good. Yeah, again, and I do like what wood brings to the table in the tone on a slower tune, and a conversation like this really can't be had without a McManus being played, right? And again, I've told you before, when I first contacted Roy McManus about buying a whistle, he said, "You really want to buy from me? You need a lot. You need to learn how to play my whistles because of the balance of back pressure and the requirement to build tone and to learn to play." And I'm like, I really need to learn to play, period. So I want one of your whistles. And it took me a good while. But again, I love the kind of earthiness wood brings. Words are hard here. I love kind of that earthiness that wood brings even to a high D. And I think the McManus is another brilliant option for your slower tunes. Song of the Books. I was running out of air a little there at that phrase. Excuse me. And I don't know if I did this again, if the Swayne and the McManus would be closer, but that's right now. So none of these 4 whistles are going to require you to gasp for air. None of them. Let me get into the second section. Oh my. So yes, you can happily play a slow air on any reasonably nice whistle you have. But if you're like, I want to even fade on those lower notes. You are going to have to step up to the plate with your purchase. Um, I'm not dissing the Killarney. I think it's great. I think a lot of whistles are great. But these are three of my favorites. Of my favorites, they're not my top. Well, I don't know if they're my top three or not. I haven't done that. These are three of my best. My hand will gravitate to one of these for a slow tune, and yes, it will gravitate to a couple others. But I didn't want to take too long. So I just think it's important for us. If you want to play fast tunes, and who doesn't, get a whistle that has the tone and the absolute responsiveness for that. And each of these four will do that. But if you want a whistle, although not every whistle is going to be rapidly responsive, if you want a whistle on which to play a lament, an air, a slow air, a ballad, you're going to need a whistle. You're going to need to think, what do I want in that tone? What do I shared my thoughts on what I'm after in my hunt for the elusive perfect. High D. And it may be one of these and I just don't know it yet. It might be one of the other ones I have and I just don't know it yet because I'm still growing. Grow into the whistles you have. Decide what you want and search and acquire and learn to play a whistle that meets all those criteria you and I are after. Anyway, I'm thrilled to have this conversation because it's so helpful for me. I hope it's helpful for you, my friends. Like the video if it is. If you're brand new and checking us out because of this conversation, please subscribe. We've got a crazy good community of folks helping us all together learn to play our whistles. Until next time, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling, my friends.